So we chose to study the effects of physical activities on children, specifically using Run Club before school. She did it at the beginning of the day. So our problem that we looked at the lack of physical activity is a major problem for children today. It's both at home and at school. The kids are going home, they're sitting there playing video games, they come to school, they're just, with the implementation of Common Core, physical education has been placed on the back burner. A lot of classes are focusing on being in classrooms, studying language arts, studying science, studying math, and then they're losing that outside time. The cut to physical education programs requirements for students requires for students to be sedentary while focusing on academics can have a negative effect on children's physical and mental health. So it's not just the lack of activity, but it's actually affecting their mental capacity. They're watching video games, they're watching TV, they're playing on their cell phones and tablets far more than they have in the past. You can see it with kids coming in, they have, even 2 or 3-year-olds have their iPhone that their moms let them play with all the time. And it's affecting their health, it's affecting their mental issues. When they're participating in physical activity, it helps to expel some of their abundant energy. I know we have kids that come into class and they're just all over the place. So when they get out and they're running around a little bit, it gets rid of some of that energy before they come back into the classroom. And it hopefully will help them to pay better attention in the classroom. And then after participating in physical activity, students are more likely to engage in class activities and retain information learned. Our purpose was to determine whether or not students' participation in Run Club and organized fitness, Run Club, which was an organized fitness program held before school or early in the school day before class, would affect students' participation, behavior, and academic achievement in the classroom. The questions that we decided to study was, in what ways will the implementation of endurance fitness before school or early in the day before class instruction impact student behavior and motivation in elementary students? And in what ways will the implementation of endurance fitness before school or early in the day before class instruction impact academic behavior for elementary students? And the way that we focused this was because of the nature of what I do here, I focused on question number 1 and focused on behavior and participation, and then my partner focused on participation and the academic behavior of students in her classroom. So some definitions that we wanted to focus on for our thesis was movement activities. Physical activity is any body movement that works your muscles and requires more energy than resting. This could be physical activity outside playing sports, it could be just running or walking in the morning, it could be moving in between lessons, getting up and stretching in between lessons. And then Run Club is an intervention program where students run or walk around a designated area for a set amount of time. It can occur before instruction begins for the day, and the purpose is to get the kids out and get moving first thing in the morning. Transitional kindergarten, we use this as a definition because my partner is a transitional kindergarten teacher. Offers children with birthdays between September and December a developmentally appropriate curriculum aligned with kindergarten standards taught by credentialed teachers from K through 12. TK was created by a new California law called Kindergarten Readiness Act. It's in I think it's in all districts in California right now. It's called something different in other districts, but And then 21st century skills refers to a broad set of knowledge, skills, work habits, and character traits that are believed by educators, school reformers, college professors, employers, and others to be critically important to success in today's world, particularly in collegiate classrooms and contemporary careers and workplaces. So the kids are going to school to get ready for college, to get ready for their future careers. And then we wrote a literature review focusing on literature that talked about our specific content about physical activity and how it can help students. Our students are preparing to enter a world in which colleges and businesses are demanding more than ever before. Students need to be prepared for today's entry-level careers, freshman-level college courses, and workforce training programs. The mind is not the only thing that needs to be developed, though. They really need to have, a healthy child is healthy in both the mind and the body. The percentage of children 6 to 11 who are obese increased from 7% in 1980 to nearly 18% in 2012. Obese children are more likely to develop prediabetes. There's also a link with social and psychological problems. Low self-esteem is one of them. When physical activities are being taken out of school, is not only their body, but their mind is also affected too. So, physical activity may also help improve academic performance in some situations. It enhances concentration and attention, as well as improved classroom behavior. Physical activity had the greatest effect on cognition and brain function because physical activity allows for oxygen to travel to the brain, which helps a child to think clearer. This doesn't have to be just running. The kids, we tell them, come out, you can either run, you can walk, you can jog, as long as you're just moving. There's a wide range of benefits for students who are actively involved in sports or just any type of physical activity. They develop a stronger sense of self, foster educational aspirations, maintain interest in class, encourage homework completion, and reduce dropout rates. So when they're participating in sports, they're able to work with other students. They're learning how to cooperate. They're learning how to strategize. They're learning skills that will help them both in the classroom and also in future careers. Socioeconomic status also plays an important role in a child's health. Ethnic minorities from a lower socioeconomic level are more likely to be overweight due to lack of activity. When parents are working, they have babysitters, they stay home, they sit in front of a TV, or healthy food is also really expensive compared to, they go to the grocery store, parents are going to buy what they can afford. Physical activity can help improve standardized test scores, on-task behavior, and academic time on task in children. So the intervention we chose to implement was Run Club. The setting was at 2 different elementary schools in California, one here in San Diego, one right outside of LA. So School A is located in San Diego. It's a public elementary school, has 405 students approximately, kindergarten through 6th grade. And the researcher that worked at this school is a physical collaboration teacher. Works with every student at the school site, not at the same time, once every 10 days. And then School B is located in La Puente, California, which is outside of LA. It's a public elementary school, serves 695 students, and it has TK through 8th grade. The researcher is a transitional kindergarten teacher, and there's 24 students in her class. The participants at School A, I I chose 6 participants. They were kids that would show up consistently, because it's not a mandatory program, so it's whoever was gonna show up every day during that time. They're all mainstream students. They were all male, because that's the only kids that actually showed up. They were all Hispanic, and 90% were enrolled in dual immersion classes. School B, she focused on 10 students. They were all TK students, and all of the students were struggling to identify letters of the alphabet and having issues participating in class. So, the roles of each researcher. Researcher A is a second-year teacher, PE collaboration teacher, and she was the participant and observer. So she was actually participating by making sure that everything was gathered together and then observing what was going on with the students when they were running. And researcher B has been teaching for 17 years and is a transitional kindergarten teacher. She was also the participant and observer. Participant A also in the study worked with other teachers at the site because she was not in the classroom, so she needed to have other teachers to help gather information as to what was going on in the classroom. The school A's collection methods included a pre-survey that went home to both, or that the students and their teacher took to figure out baseline information for how their participation was in class and how their behavior was before they started participating in running club. And then daily journal entries that the teachers and the students wrote to see how the students were feeling when they got to running club, how did they feel after, was there any change, and then to track each day how the students were doing in the classroom. The students filled out lap tracker cards so that the researcher could track how many laps the students were doing each day. Most students did an average of 3 to 4 laps, depending on the days. Some students did up to 10 laps, depending on how long they were there, because some students would go for 10 minutes and then go get breakfast. And then there was the post-survey, which looked at how the students did overall. It was given to both the students and their teachers. And then school B did a pre-survey they sent home and had the parents of the students complete it. They gave their students the Scholastic Early Childhood Inventory that's given every 3 months to see what their alphabet knowledge was. They had daily journal entries and they helped the students complete them. And then they also had a post-survey, and at the end they gave their students the SECI test again on alphabet knowledge to see how they have grown. So the intervention plan at school A consisted of a voluntary run club before school. It was between 15 and 20-minute sessions. The kids needed to be there for at least 10 minutes for it to count. If they left to go get breakfast or whatever, that was fine. The laps were about an 1/8 mile, and 6 students were chosen based on those that would show up consistently. Their school B's intervention plan was running club would be the first 5 minutes of the day before instruction began. It was mandatory. At both schools, the students did not have to run the whole time. They could run, they could walk, they could jog, as long as they were out there moving. Our plan for increasing validity to make sure that it was actually valid, we included observations, journaling, lap tracking, pre and post surveys. We had a variety of data from multiple sources. This is one of the lap tracking cards that the kids fill out. and at this school, if they complete their card, they're able to take it to the front office and get a prize for every card they complete. We have students who are trying to reach 100 miles. We have one that's just about to hit 50. And then confidentiality for this research. Permission from parents, students, teachers, and principals was obtained before the start of the study. Parents were told, students were told exactly what was going to happen, parents were told exactly what was going to happen, when it was going to start, when it was going to end. Action research was written without any names of the teachers or the participants. All data was kept confidential. Only the researchers were the ones who had access to the data, and students and teacher data was collected anonymously. All students were given a number so that when the data was collected, we just had numbers and that's who we went by. And then the data at school A was actually ended a week early because students stopped showing up. So we wanted to make sure that it was completely valid, so we stopped early. So our findings, school A, this is their classroom behavior survey. Before it started, almost all the students showed poor behavior. They were talking back in class. They were talking to other students. They were calling out. But once the intervention began, the teachers noticed that there was an improvement in student behavior. They were calmer and more engaged in class, and there was also less calling out. So at the end, they all actually ended up doing well. And then the participation survey, the students actually, most of them were participating in class. There was only one that had issues. That I found that even though the students were having behavior problems, they were still participating in class. Instead of just answering a question, they were calling out instead of raising their hand. They were active learners, but they called out, and they were talking to other students quite a bit, but they were still doing the work. At the end of the intervention, I noticed no change in the participants' participation rate. School B, before the intervention, the students at School B were off task and behind in their letter recognition. The post-assessment shows that most of the students demonstrated improvement in letter recognition. Once Running Club began, the students seemed to be actively engaged and more alert during the phonics lessons. There was only one student that did not show improvement, and that was because they were absent for 3 days of the 10-day intervention. So our conclusion saw that there was no impact on participation at School A, but School B there was. But School A found improvements in behavior during the course of the intervention. School B saw an impact on academic achievement. So we found that implementing Run Club helps students to stay actively engaged throughout the day, so that they can be successful in school. And our recommendations for further research is to lengthen the study to look at long-term effects once they get used to that shock of actually running and exercising every morning. Once that wears off, how does it really show a change? And then using more participants and using a wider scope of participants so that we can make sure that focusing on a lot of students. And that's it. Any questions?
It seems, when you said that students in School A, seems like they were doing a little bit more exercising or physical activity in the morning.
Yes.
But you didn't see that much change or that much growth
when it came to participation in classroom, there wasn't a lot of growth. But when it came to behavior, them actually focusing on the lesson and not calling out and not
That's what you saw
not
the
running,
growth.
that's where we saw the growth, was them actually being able to focus on the lesson, not just run around the classroom or bounce in their chairs, but actually stay there and watch the lesson.
Okay, I might have missed this, but going back to the conclusions about school A not having so much of an impact for participation and school B having an impact, were both schools running at the same time of the day?
Yes, the school A ran, the 20 minutes before school started. School B ran right when school started. So their start time may have been a little bit different than ours, but not a whole lot. But they were still running right before school started, before they went in the classroom.
Okay, and then the running, it wouldn't be the same distance because it was the students' goals, individual goals that they were setting, correct?
The students had individual goals, whether they met them or not was up to them. Every lap is an eighth of a mile. So they knew that, they run 8 laps, they'll hit a mile. Every student ran at least 3 laps every day. There was a few that ran a little bit more. There was one that barely made 3 every morning. But the fact that they were just out there actually going for it was an improvement, other than sitting down and waiting for the bell to ring.
Yeah, I'm just curious too, when you talk about your recommendations, curious that it's such a big age difference too,
Yes.
so that could have possibly made an impact, but.
The students at school A were in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. So it is a little bit of an age difference. However, running club has been, we've had kids from kindergarten through 6th grade show up to running club, and they're all out there going, so.
How about incentives for the running club? After a certain amount, did they get something? Or earn
At
something?
school A, they did every 30 laps, once they filled up their card, they'd bring it to the office, there's stickers and erasers and pencils that they could choose from. So, and then if they hit 25 miles, they got a bracelet that says 25 Mile Club. If they hit 50, every 25 miles, they get a bracelet. We've had one student this year hit 25 miles. We have about 3 that are on their last card to hit 25
Were
miles.
any of those students and the participants in this?
2, 3 of them.
So that card was not miles, it was laps?
It was laps.
Okay.
Yes, so they knew that,
Oh, lap track, thank you.
so they knew that if they complete 6 cards, then that equals 25 miles,
Ah,
so.
Aside from the focus on behavior and participation for school A, did you guys notice anything else?
School A, we didn't focus on academics because the kids were not in one classroom. So they weren't with the same teacher, all having the same instruction. There was 5 different classrooms, and so we chose not to focus on academics because we couldn't control what was going on in each classroom and what type of lessons each student was getting. Any other questions?
Thanks.
No.
Thank you
my
so much.
Thank you, Paula.